worst pandemic that any of our generations have seen before, or probably would see later also. Let's take a look at some of the backbone, the technological backbone of Industry 4.0. Why is this important? Because this is where the next job, the next research, the next development, and the next alignment needs to be understood. So let's start with the red thing, which is the industrial internet. There is connectivity all over, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done beyond connectivity, beyond information technology, beyond cloud, and beyond just data collection, collation, and consuming. So if you look at it, the industrial internet, which would be a mixture of intranet, internet, and cloud, would give an edge for improving the supply chain, improving the in-house production line, improving the in-house automation, and improving the inventory management to just-in-time kind of business models. Because ultimately, it's all about cost. It is all about return on investment. It is all about the total cost of ownership. And if we are agile and if we can manage that very well, we can be more profitable. While technology is a great enabler, it all boils down to the commercials and ultimately the profitability of anything new that we will be doing in the future or what we are doing today. So big data is, again, a big thing that we have been talking about, like how we were talking about cloud some 6 years back, 6-7 years back. Big data has been there for probably 4 or 5 years now. And then the industrial robot, which is mainly the automation, which is mainly helping in improving the efficiency of a production line. And clubbed with 3D printing, which is helping us in customizing some of the products which would not go into mass production. And knowledge work automation. There are a lot of ways in which the knowledge is being automated as well. And then, of course, industrial security, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence are actually taking the lead as we speak. So these are the 9 technical backbones of Industry 4.0. And what does that actually mean? It means that we need to align with these 3 main verticals or 3 main buckets, which you see in the different color, which is smart production and service, digital supply chain, and productive customer insight. This would encompass everything that we would be doing now and what we would be doing in the future. So it's about not just procurement, it's not just about production, it's not just about information technology to support, it's also about a lot of analytics that would help us to reach to the consumers, the customers, and do our marketing, branding, and advertising in the same gamut. So what does this all imply? It implies that information technology has become the backbone and will remain the backbone for not just enabling the different industry verticals, but also in taking the lead in connecting all the various different facets of smooth functioning of any areas or any department or any industry going forward. I would want to spend a little more time on how technology has changed and how technology has helped the businesses. If you look at from 1975, when we were in mainframes, to what we are beyond 2015, the access to computing has changed, the application topology has changed, the reach has changed, and the business impact has improved beyond our imagination. From being reactive, we are being proactive and being responsive at the same time, because democratization of technology has helped all the industries to not just align themselves with the end consumer and the end customer, but has also helped in improving their research and development and faster time to market. The challenge has always been in the previous years or the previous era of the large time and effort that was being spent in getting the new invention or new technology into the market. Today, it is just at a click of a button. That's the business impact the technology has enabled and technology has provided us. So in this business world, information technology has helped create not just connected network, but a networked economy wherein everybody is connected, which would mean that the suppliers, the consumers, the customers, the manufacturers, your retailers, your business partners, and your employees are all connected in real time. Which means to say that I have access to information at a click of a button. So this leads to the connected world. So the connected world is all what we are experiencing today. And I don't have to go beyond anything that needs to be mentioned because we are all experiencing it. But what are the shift factors when it comes to job? Is it just the technology? Is it just the process? Or is it just the people? Or is it everything combined? I think it is everything combined that is leading to the shift in the jobs and shift in the way jobs are being created. So let's little bit rewind back to what Karl Marx said when he was at the helm of things and still influences a lot of our thought process, which is in the year 1818, when he was born, till the time he left the world in 1883, he did a lot of work on the labor side. So what he had mentioned then holds good even today, and I will little bit explain what it is. He said, the worker's existence is thus brought under the same condition as the existence of every other commodity, which means to say that the worker's existence or a worker is a commodity. And it further goes to say is the worker has become a commodity, and it is a bit of a luck for him if he can find a buyer. Now, commodity is bought, but an employee or a worker is given a job. So he's saying a individual would be lucky enough to find a buyer, and the demand on which the life of the worker depends on the whims and fancies of the rich and the capitalists. This was what he mentioned at that point in time, and I think it holds good even today because of a lot of changes that have happened and technology leading the change and we being part of the change. So let's go a little further in understanding this little more. For that, I would want to refer to the India Skills Report 2019. I will talk about India Skills Report 2020 as well, but that would not be relevant because 2020 is almost a washout. I would want to delete 2020 from my calendar. I don't have a choice, but there is a lot of learning from it. And we have got a lot of time for ourselves, wherein we can align ourselves to what is needed for the future. But what I would want to bring your notice to is basically the things that I have circled in the red, which says almost 40 to 50% of existing jobs, which are transaction heavy, would get automated. Yes, which is a mundane routine stuff that can be automated, will be automated, and we will not need any people to do such jobs. Machines will do it for us better. The key sectors which would see this change are IT, financial services, manufacturing, transportation, packaging, and shipping, which means to say that there is a lot of automation that has already happened and will keep happening in these sectors. And the report goes to say, and if the early trends are to be believed, that is what is evident. Roles of a data entry clerk, which is long gone, cashier, we don't need it, financial analyst, telemarketer, customer service executives, manual work operators, executives, factory workers, retail sales, advertising, and salespersons are constantly getting disrupted. We are enabling the change that is happening. We as engineers, we as technology people are enabling this change to happen. But look at the impact. It is impacting 40 to 50% of existing jobs, which is scary. But let's take a closer look at this. Let's look at the next highlighting point that I have circled. It says we can get a sense by the fact that 40% of jobs which will be lost due to technological advancements amount to only 7% of the global wages, which means to say that only 7% of the money that was paid to these guys is being affected, which means to say that all these were low-paying jobs. So all the low-paying jobs are getting converted to technology-driven, and with the help of automation, it is being eliminated to a large extent. Okay. So what would these folks who were doing this do? Probably they will have to learn new skills. They will have to look at how they will align with the new job requirements. Let's go a little further and explore. This is a report by McKinsey, which talks about the India's economy transforming because of the use of digital transformation and new digitization that is happening in the sectors that we see. Let's look at the right side circle first. The core digital sectors which have already got themselves digitized, which is mainly IT, banking, information technology, media, and a whole lot of other related sectors, would more than double by 2025. If you see the inner circle, which is currently valued at $170 billion, would be at $435 billion in the next 5 years. Okay, maybe because of COVID, we can give it an extension of 1 more year, or even 1.5 years or 2 years, but that's going to happen. And if you see, because of the COVID, because of the lockdown, the investments have started flowing in the areas, in the circles that you are seeing, especially in education. The edtech companies are the ones who have got the highest amount of investments in the last 6 months in India. So newly digitizing sectors like agriculture, logistics, and retail are also going to grow at a percentage that are highlighted below, wherein retail is 11.7x because most of it is going to be automated. Most of it is going to be done by technology. Logistics to the tune of 30x, 30 times of what it is today, because most of it is going to be automated through not just physical contact or non-physical contact, but also through probably drone technologies. Education 50x, this is a report prior to COVID, but if we look at the numbers post-COVID, probably 50x in education would go up to more than 100x. Agriculture is a new digitizing sector that is emerging because of a lot of focus on feeding the population, not just of India, but of the globe. So 70 times investment when it comes to using digital technology, artificial intelligence, probably big data management, and IoT enabled solutions deployed in farm and farmlands is going to be a big sector for investment, as you see. And of course, jobs and skills, because new skills are to be learned, new jobs are being created. So there is a lot of learning and development that is needed to be enabled. And that's where you see a lot of investment happening in education, and jobs and skills going hand in hand. Many of us have taken to online learning of a lot of new skills, especially data science, especially something to do with R, programming. What is artificial intelligence? What is machine learning? We have all done some or the other courses online in the lockdown. So those are the areas that is going to see a lot of investment. And for all of us, financial services is the biggest pie, because everything is becoming digitized, not just because of big data, connectivity, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, because of blockchain also being one of the latest technological intervention that is happening for securing all the digital transactions that happen as we do any transaction. In fact, this interaction is also a digital transaction. But more important is when it comes to anything that leads to commercial transactions, because money is involved. So all of this put together is putting in a lot of stress and strain on the next generation of employees. I would want to take a pause here and just take a few questions, if there are any, to ensure that we are on the same page. Any questions? Any questions thus far? Anything on the chat that has come in? Okay. Yes. So Lokesh has asked, what is the role of embedded system? Okay. So embedded system are part of the present technology that we all speak about. When it comes to specific usage models, embedded technology would play a major role. And IoT as the last mile connectivity solution and last mile connectivity options and technology that is available will be enabled by a lot of embedded system technology. So it's going to help in coming out with something very specific for the growth sectors that we just saw, especially agriculture, and anything that would be needed in the field, something that is remote, something that we would be using for making our cities smarter, homes smarter, and citizens smarter. Embedded systems would definitely play a role. One thing I would want to clarify is that none of the technologies of the past are dumped away. They are all being used in some way or the other. It is not that because IoT and cloud has come in, the embedded systems are gone and thrown out of the window. No, they still remain. They are still the backbone. They are still the fundamental building blocks of anything new that is being created or that will get created in the future. Okay, so let's go back to my presentation. Okay, good. Thank you for the question. Keep asking questions. It can be through the chat or even through your voice. So look at what is happening. If we look at the three verticals, the three buckets that are mentioned here, which is big data analytics, mobility, and social business, we are talking about a connected business or a connected world through industry clouds that would handle 3/4 of all economic activity in a fully automated way. It would be an automated world, a connected world, wherein 3/4, which means to say that 70% of the economic activity that is happening between business to business, government to government, business to government, government to citizens, business to citizens, citizens to citizens. Look at the complex nature of the connected world. It is estimated to be over $100 billion, which would have gone as a waste if it was not coordinated well. So this is the future that we are talking about, wherein the connected world would help us in not just playing with the data, but also connecting the need or the requirement to the use case models, the users, and new inventions. So some statistics is that companies double the productivity of their knowledge workers. Now I would want you to pay some attention on the word knowledge workers. We are no longer talking about just workers. We are talking about knowledge workers. And how are they doing this? How are they improving the productivity of the knowledge workers? Through the use of big data and analytics. It's a big, big market out there. It also says that 60% of device interactions are passive. If you look at it, most of our interaction on a mobile platform is very, very passive. We are not active. That is because most of the information that comes to us is automated through some intelligent systems at the back and machine learning. How is this happening? I will give you a simple example. When you're doing shopping online, I'm sure you all used Flipkart, Amazon a lot. Also the other big basket and Swiggy and all of it. What is happening is it keeps a track of your preference through the ordering pattern that you have demonstrated. It keeps a watch on what your preferences are during different times of the year. It is analyzing your buying pattern and your spending pattern and your interests in buying new stuff from various different providers. So when you log on to any of these platforms, you would get a lot of suggestions. Now, how is this happening? This is happening because machine learning has been enabled by artificial intelligence algorithms at the back to capture all of this data and put it into something meaningful for the user. So simple things can lead to a lot of social business vertical that we are talking about, because not just mobiles, not just devices are connected, individuals, people, and a whole lot of other things are also connected to redefine customer experience. Now we are all customers, we are all consumers. So how will a company ensure that you are loyal to them? Because customer loyalty is not as strong as what it was 20-25 years back. Same holds good when it comes to service, sales, and the content that a user would want to see in real time. So all of this is changing, and this is leading to newer jobs. We just need to look at what it is. Now look at this. This is again a PwC's global survey on technology, jobs, and skills, wherein it says 53% of workers believe automation will significantly change or make their job obsolete within the next 10 years. More than half of the people believe, that means they know that their jobs are going to be obsolete. Their jobs are not going to be the same, or rather their job is going to be not there probably in the next 10 years. This is a scary situation for all of us, but again, an opportunity to look at for us to unlearn, learn, and relearn something new to align ourselves to the new norm of the world. So skills of the future. What are the skills of the future that are needed so that we align with the job shift? It is not just about education. It is a whole lot of other things that are needed to be done along with education, which will help future employees, future entrepreneurs, and future job seekers to be in line with the trend and the path the world is paving for our future. So let me just go to a World Economic Forum report, which was in late 2018 and it got published in 2019. It says by 2022, 2 more years from now, okay, you want to give some more little leeway because of COVID and the lockdown and stuff like that. We can say by 2023, another 3 years, everyone will need an extra 101 days of learning. Oh, well, this is in line with what we just spoke earlier in terms of unlearning, learning, and relearning. So there is a lot of learning that we all need to be doing right from now onwards. But what is that learning that is needed? It is a focus on the skills, the abilities, the capabilities, and the applicability of our knowledge that would be in alignment with what the industry is looking at and the way the industry is changing. And what is that? Now, let me just talk about what were the top 10 skills needed by the industry, or what were the top 10 skills needed by a graduate or anybody seeking employment needed in 2015. Let's look at this. Top 10 skills. Complex problem solving was number 1. Coordinating with others, which means to say that a little bit of human interfacing. Number 3, people management. 4, critical thinking, negotiation, quality control, service orientation, judgment and decision making. Look at that. Active listening and creativity. These were the top 10 skills that were needed in 2015. 2015 is over and things are changing so fast. I've been talking about it from the time we started this interaction, right? So things have changed drastically from 2015 to 2020 as we speak now. So what are the skills, or what were the skills in 2015 as top 10 wouldn't be the top 10 skills in 2020? Absolutely, yes. That is common sense. Let's look at what is it in 2020. Complex problem solving still remains the number 1 skill that is needed even in 2020. How many of us are good at it is we need to ask ourselves. Look at what has changed. Critical thinking, which was at number 4, has come to number 2 in 2020 already. Creativity, which was at number 10 in 2015, has come to number 3 in 2020. Lot of changes that have happened. Yes. People management has gone down from 3 to 4. A cause of worry. Why? Because machines are taking over a lot of jobs which people were doing in the past. So people management is not that much of a challenge today, but it still remains at 4. And same holds good. Coordinating with others, which was number 2 in 2015, has gone to number 5, which means to say that there is a lot of automation that has happened. And something new has come up in 2020 at number 6, which is emotional intelligence. Yes, emotional intelligence is a skill that is needed to be interacting with not just with people, but also knowing your own emotional traits, your own strengths and weaknesses, your own ways of judgment and decision making, which is number 7. So judgment and decision making, which was at 8 in 2015, has come to 7. And what was 7, service orientation, has gone to number 8, because technology is helping us in a lot when it comes to service. And of course, negotiation and cognitive flexibility. Look at some new entrants here in 2020. We talk negotiation, which was at number 5 in 2015, has gone down to number 9. That's no more a skill that is needed, because everything is data driven, everything is information driven, everything is knowledge driven. So there is a lot of technological help that is being provided for me to negotiate. But number 10, cognitive flexibility. Now I need to understand what is all this all about. It's not just about complex problem solving, creativity, and thinking. It's also cognitive flexibility. I need to bring in a lot of thinking flexibility in the way I look at problem solving. I need to look at possibility thinking. I need to look at, yeah, you might have heard of this, out of the box thinking. Yes, out of the box thinking. Problem is, we just know the word of out of the box thinking. Do we really know what out of the box thinking means? We need to start looking at all of this and look at the skills that the companies are looking at. Nobody is bothered whether you know Fourier transformation series. Nobody knows whether you are good at operating a CNC machine. Nobody is looking at how good you are at coding. No, it is all taken for granted that after spending these many years in your graduation and probably post-graduation also, those are some basic stuff that you already have. What is the industry looking at is the way you will use your educational knowledge to align with what is needed by the employer or the world in general for you to be employable, for you to be an entrepreneur, for you to be successful in your career. So these are some of the skills. Now let's look at a little more further. 2020 is almost over. So let's look at the jobs landscape in 2022. This is more important. Emerging roles and the global changes by 2022, which is going to affect 133 million jobs. And what are those top 10 emerging jobs? Data analysts and scientists, AI and machine learning specialists, general and operations managers, software and application developers, it's gone to 4. Sales and marketing professionals gone to 5. Big data specialists gone to 6. Big data specialists were number 1 3 years back. Digital transformation specialists going down and down, which means to say that by 2022, a lot of digital transformation would have already occurred. New technology specialists, yes, most of it would be done by AI and machine learning specialists. So any new technology that would come in would align with the data analysts and scientists and AI and machine learning specialists. So all other things would go down. Look at information technology services is at number 10. So things are changing. And look at the top 10 declining roles also. Of course, we know this. It's the same trend in India as well. So the most important aspect is you need to know what are the changes that are happening and how we need to align ourselves into the changes, towards the changes, and not just enable, but also embrace the change for our own good and the future of the next jobs landscape that is posing a threat to all of us. So I would reiterate that if we don't unlearn what we have learned, we don't learn new things, and we don't relearn the new tricks and the skills that are needed, we would be unemployable. We would not be able to be an entrepreneur as well, because being an entrepreneur these days is the next big thing. It's a fad for the youth, but it's not that easy as we speak. It needs a lot of thought process, and it needs a lot of alignment with the skills that are needed for you to survive in the cutthroat competitive world that we are going to face. Now, why did I say that? Is because engineering graduates who would graduate this year and next year would have much more competition than their seniors, because their seniors also will be competing for the same jobs, because they would have entered the industry, they would have entered the corporate world, they would have entered the employability world and learned a lot of new things. Some of them would want to relearn a few things, some of them would want to reskill themselves, and they would also fall in many of these top 10 emerging jobs and compete for every job with a lot of knowledge, and better skill sets at their hands. So, what is the 21st century life skills framework that will help all of us to align better with what is needed for us to be successful, not only in our professional life and career, but also in our personal life, is all of this put together, which also is some of the top 10 skills that would be needed from 2020 onwards. You need to be creative, yes. And creativity is not just about doing a good drawing or being good at engineering drawing or a structured drawing. No, it is about ideation. It is about bringing in new ideas for solving the problem. It is innovation. Innovation doesn't really mean that you have to innovate something new in terms of a product. Innovation could be in a way that you would solve a particular problem in a whole new way, whole new approach. Your thinking has to change, which is nothing else but your cognitive. So if you look at, I will just go back. What was it saying? In 2020, look at number 10, cognitive flexibility. What does that mean? Cognitive flexibility is basically lateral thinking, problem solving, systems thinking. You need to start thinking holistically to look at how you will connect the dots, connect various different dots, correlate it to a lot of new areas that you would get exposed to, and use your knowledge that you have acquired through various different means to bring about a change in the way businesses are done in the future, for which you would need to know how to collaborate. Collaborative knowledge is all about cross-cultural sensitivity and working with various different teams, various different people, various different processes, various different systems. So it's going to be really, really complex going forward. But if you start thinking and applying all of this right from now, it would become that much more easier, and you would become a leader going forward with the leadership skills of organizing, bringing in that excellence and bringing in that confidence so that you can influence with authority rather than not being able to influence others, even though you have the best of the idea, the best of innovation, the best of creativity, and a whole lot of stuff. One thing that you all need to understand is that all of this would also need you to be good at communication. So the 4 C's of 21st century skills framework would be cognitive skills, creativity, collaboration, and communication. So all put together would make you a leader going forward. And of course, managing your emotional things and social and civic engagement and all of it put together is what the companies are looking at, is what the world is looking at, is what even you as an entrepreneur will have to look at. So while the job changes are happening, there is a lot of new ways in which you will have to look at all of this to ensure that you don't lose out on the opportunities, you don't lose out on the competition, and you don't lose out on making a good career for yourself. It's easy if you look at it. And if you ask me, that's the way to look at it. And this is the time when you have time. Now, those 101 days, let me just rewind back a little bit. What did the World Economic Forum say? That by 2022, everyone will need an extra 101 days of learning. Probably I am tempted to ask whether the World Economic Forum knew that Corona pandemic will make us sit at our homes doing nothing for 101 days. Probably yes. But no, I'm just kidding. They didn't know about all this, but this was what was needed. And I think we have got more than 150 days. which means to say that we can cover up a lot of things in terms of learning new skills, unlearning what we should unlearn, and relearn something that we should be focusing on from the past. Connect the past, look at what is there in the present, and extend it to the future so that you learn new stuff, you unlearn what is not needed from the past, and you focus on relearning what is needed in the present. So if you look at all of this, there is a real bright future for all of us if we start applying our minds and looking at what is needed for us to align with what is in store for us in the future. So it's as simple as that. The problem is we all get distracted through a lot of unwanted things, and that's exactly what I need to unlearn. So with this, I would end my presentation and open it up for question and answers.
Hello, Atul sir. This is Shashank here. I request all the participants to post your questions in the chat box or unmute your microphone to ask directly to Atul sir.
Yes, and I will take it up one by one.
Atul sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Sir, fine, sir. How are you?
Thank you so much, sir. Very well, very well.
Yeah, I have a few doubts in my mind.
Yes.
So, sir, can you predict or can you tell me what are the kind of the changes that we can face in education and agriculture sector?
Okay, wonderful, sir. Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's take up with education sector first, and then go to agriculture.
Yes.
Of course, both of these two sectors are very close to the place that you are in.
Any idea, sir? Third one is medical sector, because I'm worried about all the three sectors together.
Absolutely, sir. The most important sectors that affect human beings.
Yes.
Yes. So let's look at education. And there is also one question from Dr. S.M. Bosle on the chat. He says, how do you see job shift in manufacturing sector? I will take it up later. Right? Okay. So first question, sir, in terms of education, I think we have got a small sneak peek into how education is going to change in the future, as what we have seen in the last 3 to 4 months, in the sense that it is a connected education system that we would be seeing, wherein learning will be never stopped, whether it is holiday time, whether it is vacation, or whether it is lockdown of such kind. Keeping this in mind, what are the changes that are going to happen is basically to enable the student to learn anywhere, anytime, anyhow. So most of the educational institutions and most of the ed tech companies are focusing on providing the learning environments and the learning ability and capabilities to be connected and to be a learner 24/7. Now, having said that, it's not just that much, and it's not easy either. So it is basically in terms of looking at how the data, information, and knowledge would reach the learner is what will get enabled. And of course, a whole lot of things of a learning management system being there, an e-learning aspect being put in, a live classroom, connectivity, and an interactive classroom, blended learning models, flipped classroom models, and all of this would definitely play a major role going forward. So that would be the way education would change, and it would lead to a lot of ways in which the assessments would be made, assignments would be given, projects that would be done, and a whole lot of stuff wherein we would use connectivity as the back end and connectivity as the prime mover.
So sorry to interrupt you. I just want to know what kind of the strategy that we can use for conducting the examination. That is the main struggle in front of all of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if we could look at some of the MOOCs that are already available to us, there is some learning that we can bring to the table. When I say MOOCs, it is the massive online open courses like the Udemy's and the Coursera's and a few other stuff, wherein it would not be the, okay, so when I said assessments would change, that is exactly what I meant, is that it would no longer be a Q&A or a MCQ kind of a approach. Though I will use a Q&A, one-line answer and one-word answers to the knowledge that the student would have acquired, I would have them to think a lot before they even answer, because my questions would be flipped. It would not be a direct question. It would be a question wherein I would want to test their understanding and test their application of what they've understood. Because sitting at home, it would be like an open book exam. And an open book exam would be encouraging cut, copy, paste, which is a bane of the technology that we have. So what would change is the way in which we will conduct the exams of not asking direct questions, but ask them questions wherein it would be assigned and assessed on the applicability of it and the understanding of the concept or understanding of anything new that they have learned in real life scenario through case studies, to scenario managing and providing a way to bring in new approach of thinking, creativity, and cognitive abilities.
Yes, sir.
So that would what would change. So there is a lot of effort for educators like you and me to take the students to that level by not just providing them with the spoon feeding kind of an approach of saying this is what the syllabus is, these are what the chapters, these are the page numbers of these textbooks, these are reference material. All that would be needed, yes, but not to an extent that we are doing today. And especially with the new education policy, which is a debate that is going on and which would anyway be implemented going forward, there would be a lot of changes that would happen in the way assessments and assignments would be conducted. So this question would lead to the implementation of NEP also, sir. So we will definitely have to align ourselves in not just testing what the student remembers from the syllabus, but in testing the student on the relevancy, on the meaning, and on the applicability of what has been taught. That is where we will have to move. And that is how the education system will have to align going forward. Of course, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It will take a long time, but yes, that's how it will move. And most importantly, align with the requirement of the industry, which is ever changing. Our syllabus changes probably once after 2 or 3 years, but the industry need changes every 6 to 9 months. How will we align and how will we cope with it? The only way is to get the students to do a lot of internships, lot of projects which are industry relevant, which are practically oriented, so that they will start applying what they have learned and take it to the next level of improvising and creating something new. So this was education, sir. Agriculture, it would all be in terms of applying the immense knowledge that India has. There is no other country in the world which has the immense knowledge in terms of the centuries and centuries of agricultural knowledge that India has. Things are changing. Weather pattern is changing. Rain schedules have changed. The timetable of rain has changed. Seasons are changing. Soil is changing.
Sir, my doubt is how to reach all this technology towards the farmer. At the
Okay.
end user, toward the farmer.
Yeah, so one size fits all doesn't work when it comes to anything in India, especially when it comes to agriculture. So it has to be localized, it has to be customized, and it has to be custom built to ensure that the local conditions, local environment, local knowledge, and everything gets consolidated, and a lot of machine learning algorithms that would get put into it, which may be relevant, which may not be relevant, but that's the learning that we need to do because of the modern day changes and challenges that we are facing, because one, change in the weather pattern, change in the seasons, and change in the soil condition. So when we take it to the farmers, it has to be localized. What works in Baramati may not work in probably Gujarat, and what works in Gujarat will not be applicable in Punjab because of the local environmental conditions. And that's exactly the place where engineers like engineering institutions like you and engineers like you would play a role in bringing out with those customized elements, parameterized elements for catering and aligning with the local needs. And then, of course, it would be the produce that needs to be sold, the pricing and all of it, which is more or less a probability and the statistical play that would come into existence, which is already there to a large extent. But what is needed at the ground level is to ensure that the farmer is enabled with the right information, with the right tools, with the right techniques, and with the right information so that he can use it to his use and improve the productivity.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I think there is, okay, what are the challenges and issues in IoT? Anil Bhagat has asked this question. What is the difference between IoT and IIoT? Okay. What are the challenges and issues in IoT? Okay. IoT is comparatively a new technology and a new paradigm shift that has happened in the last 5 years. IoT has helped us in reaching out to the last mile, which also means to say that it is helping us in collating, collecting data from the grassroots level at the place where it needs to be collected in an automated manner. So that leads to collecting a lot of data, which leads to big data. So IoT and big data are actually interconnected, and they are to be looked at in together because each one complements the other. What is the use if I collect the data and don't use it? And what is the use of having big data when I don't know how to collect it? Right? So that's how it is. So they go hand in hand. The challenges are in terms of physical security, cyber security, and looking at new use case models for IoT deployment. IoT is everywhere. Any connected devices can fall in the category of IoT because internet enabled devices are all considered to be an IoT device. So there is a lot of connectivity issues that we face. There's a lot of physical security issues that we face. There's a lot of cyber security issues that we face. So these are some of the challenges. Your second question in terms of difference between IoT and IIoT. Okay. Industrial IoT is still a far advanced technology that we all get exposed to because it's been implemented for a long time now. And it is in a controlled environment, and it is for a specific purpose within a particular segment. So, for example, a chemical industry would have a different need than a manufacturing industry. A process industry, a food processing industry would have different needs when compared to an agricultural industry. So, all of this would mean that industrial IoT reference models are available and use case models are also available. and technology is also much advanced, and it being in a controlled environment provides us with a better manageability, monitoring, and applicability. Whereas when I come to an IoT, it becomes a generic way in which I am looking at doing things in the physical world and bringing it to a cyber world. For example, the data collected at a particular location to identify the pollution levels would help me decide whether I should go there or not, especially in a COVID situation like this, wherein I am asthmatic. I would not want to risk my life by going to a place which would aggravate my asthma. So the deployment of such a system across a city becomes a major challenge, and uptime and manageability of such technology would need a lot of effort in the long run. So that's the difference. And I think I've answered Sakshi Moite's question. Sakshi Mote, okay. Role of big data emerging technologies like Hadoop and Apache Spark as such pandemic time, in such pandemic time. Okay. Pandemic time, I think I answered it to some extent. But yes, definitely it is all about data. How much ever data you get is less when it comes to the present scenario, present situation that we are in, because there are a lot of ways in which we would be looking at the data, and everybody is learning. Nobody is an expert as of today when it comes to a pandemic situation like this. Bangalore city has a way in which it has looked at the data, whereas Pune city is looking at it in a different way, because situations are different, people are different, people's mindset is different, perception is different, demography is different, geography is different, and whole lot of stuff. So all of this put together makes a classic candidate for big data analysis, because we are talking about data coming in from disparate systems and complex systems, which makes it very tedious to connect the dots and come out with a pattern, or to come out with a definitive finger pointing laser sharp approach in terms of finding a solution. But yes, that's how the whole thing of data and big data would help in a lot of research, development, analysis, and inference. Okay. There is also a question by Sumit Kauthekar. He says, sir, how do you think unlearning be approached, as we don't know the importance of unlearning till we unlearn something? But main obstacle is that we hesitate to unlearn which we have accumulated over the time. A wonderful question. In fact, this is one of the major hurdles for any one of us to look forward, because we get stuck with what we know and we think what we know is the best. No, let me just give you an idea. Let me just give you an instance now. People who are experienced and who are in the IT industry would correlate to this. We came to learn a lot of database management systems, relational database management systems in the past 20 years. And now, all of a sudden, because of Hadoop and big data technologies coming in, all that we learned in terms of DBMS and RDBMS has to be unlearned and relearn some new tricks of the trade, because all my structure of a database, normalization, and the different activities that I would do on a database which was very structured has all gone out of the window, because my big data and Hadoop and all the new technologies that have come in, MongoDB, NoSQL, and all of that, is all about that particular string. However and wherever you store doesn't matter. So this is a classic example of unlearning and relearning something new. And there are a lot of such examples that we will have to look at. But that doesn't mean I will forget what I have learned. Unlearning is not forgetting what you've learned, but unlearning is helping us to learn new things in a different perspective. That is what it is. And we don't have to hesitate in saying that I don't know and I will have to learn. Yes, technology is changing every 6 months. New concepts are being introduced every 6 to 8 months. So how is it that we can live in the past and look at some technology that was implemented 10 years back? It would not be of any use today. But that doesn't mean I should forget what has been implemented 10 years back. That gives me a lot of foundational knowledge about what worked and what didn't work. And that is the value that we bring to the table. Okay, any other questions?
Any other questions from the participants? Okay. Thank you, Atul sir. I am here to express a vote of thanks because my colleague, Ms. Sonal Nikam, is facing serious network congestion in her area.
Okay.
So on behalf of VPKBIT, I would like to express my deepest heartfelt gratitude and thanks
Thank
to
you so
our
much.
guest of honor, the speaker, Mr. Atul Bengiri. Thank you, sir, for enlightening Industry 4.0, digital sectors and transformation, contributing factors along with the significant value of emerge. And also highlighting on how we can connect the dots for the requirements of sustainability of this digital transformations by means of technology and skill and knowledge personals, right? I would also like to thank on highlighting unlearning, learning and relearning concept. Indeed, it is an important aspect throughout the lifetime. I would like to correlate that with not earning, earning and re-earning. So basically, it would mainly comply with that one. Also, I would like to thank for highlighting the World Economic Forum aspects and highlighting the various important points for them. Indeed, it is a basic requirement for all of us to think out of the box. That is only the solution. Thank you, sir, for sharing all this knowledge and concepts with us. Also, I would like to thank our HOD, Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering Department, Dr. S.B. Lande, sir, and our principal, Dr. R.S. Bijkar, sir, for their constant support and motivation. I would also like to thank all the participants for being a part of this wonderful session on the job shift due to technical advancements. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my colleague, Ms. Sonal Nikam, for her untired efforts for organizing and making this webinar successful. Thank you all. Now I conclude the session is over. Thank you once again, Atul sir. A big thank you from VPKBIT for this wonderful session. I request all the attendees to mark their attendance and submit the feedback. I will soon post the link for the same. Thank you all.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
Thank you so much. I extend all my gratitude to all the organizers and the office bearers of this engineering college and the Center of Excellence. Look forward for more such sessions, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure,
Thank
sir.
you,
Sure.
Atul sir. Thank you, Atul sir. Thank you, Biradar sir and Sonal.
Thank you,
madam.
sir.
I request all the participants to go through the link provided in the chat box for marking your attendance as well as filling the feedback.